Good morning and welcome to the February edition of Chamber Chat. I'm your host, Ryan Kingsella, and today I have Deb Thomas here. Deb, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ryan.
So you are the event coordinator for the Mid-Valley Winter Ag Fest.
Yes, I am.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this is an event. We're in our second year. It takes place at the Polk County Fairgrounds the last week in February, Saturday the 25th and Sunday the 26th. Just briefly, the hours on Saturday are 9 to 4, and the hours on Sunday are 10 to 4.
Okay. And what type of events do you have going on at the show? I know the Home and Garden Show.
Oh, it's just a huge winter event at the fairgrounds. We have basically two parts to it. The real fun part is the Winter Ag Fest, and that includes inclusive of all types of farming in Polk County. We have commercial farms involved. We have Saturday market, small farms involved. We are able to let farm organizations, FFA and 4-H come in and just do whatever they need to do to promote themselves. And one example, last year, our first year, is Susie Bustler, the extension coordinator for 4-H. She had lost a bunch of time at the county fair when they dropped Sunday.
Right.
And she had many contests and activities that she needed to complete during the year for her kids, and she was able to have the old 4-H building, and she filled it for the whole weekend last year, had several hundred kids participate. She was very happy with the turnout, and they entered in the contests, and they had a great time.
Right.
Nora Salvelt, who runs the Achievers Club, her kids love to put on petting zoos, and so we'll be having a 4-H petting zoo. That will be both days, 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. It can't be all day, just to make sure the animals don't get stressed.
Right.
They go home every night to their homes in their nice beds. So, and there's a number of other activities for kids. Free face painting. The Antique Powerland comes with a big display. The Northwest G train railroad. They have a big running train, and this year they're expanding beyond their sawmill and their normal town to have a farm and a whole bunch of more agriculture-related items.
Okay.
And then the Yamhills Historical Society comes with, they bring a big covered wagon, and they come in full dress. They have people demonstrating antique cooking practices with the appropriate tools all day long, both days. But it's not just about, it's just not a place for kids. We have many ag organizations participate. We have the Polk Farmers Farm Bureau, the Polk Women for Agriculture. We have Ag in the Classroom coming, just to name a few. And but the other main part of the event is promotion of business and promotion of agriculture in Polk County. And so in that regard, we also have a concurrent event, the Polk Home and Garden Show.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually in its 10th year, so that's been going a little bit longer. They're in the main building, and there's a room that I'm so happy that all the Saturday markets in the area are participating with their vendors. We have several nurseries coming this year. They were very happy with last year. And then there's a whole contingent of local farmers, local farm businesses, I should say, and local businesses that are coming just to talk about new products and that type of thing.
So it sounds like a really good event for the community to come.
Oh yeah,
come
it's inclusive of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
People from the city, people from the towns. I mean, people, their kids can learn about agriculture. There's adult education. Master gardeners, master preservers are participating. And we have seminars in the main building. I was so excited last weekend because Gretchen Anderson, the lady that wrote the book about the backyard chicken fight, she's coming, and she's going to talk about winter preparations for your summer garden. She's just getting a new book ready for publication, so she flies in from Idaho for the event. And
nice.
She's also going to talk about the backyard chickens, and we're going to have seminars on beekeeping. We're going to have seminars on ladies coming from to talk about agricultural practices, both in the farms and residential, that will better reduce pesticides to help with salmon recovery. So.
Okay. And so while this is the second annual event, I know you've been heavily involved within the community for years. So I know you manage the flea market, or run. So tell us.
Yeah, one more thing I forgot.
Sure.
This year and the museum is actually involved. Last year they got 1,000 people came through on the weekend, and they have a special quilt exhibit up. They were very, very thrilled to be part of the event this year. And then we're partnering with Extension and Polk Livestock Association to put on a range of seminars in Building B on Thursday, which is new. Okay. So that we're just getting the list together on that. It'll be up on the website and be distributed widely. As it's hay foraging and some other topics that are very pertinent to farmers in the area right now.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So I know you mentioned that a lot of the Saturday markets were showing up at the event, which is exciting, and you yourself have experience hosting a flea market.
I do. I was asked to do that in 2000 when the last flea market manager decided to retire. The flea market's been going since 1970 under the Ulrich Real Flea Market name, and it's a community event. I mean, it's very vital to the community, and we have a strong attendance on always the first Sunday of the month, which is coming up this Sunday, and we generally get between 1,200 and 1,400 people come through.
It's a pretty good crowd.
It's packed, and it's a wonderful crowd. In both events, people are just having a great time, and it's a fun event to run.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
it's like family.
Yeah, I can see that. So what makes you so involved in the community? Have you always lived in Polk County, or?
I moved to Polk County in 1995. Now, I was involved in flea markets before. My mother was involved with the Salem, actually Haley's Collectors Market, starting in 1970, 71, and then I started selling there in the mid-'80s. But when I moved out here, my husband was involved with agriculture. He was a blueberry farm manager, and eventually the people in the community, the farmers, through him got to know of me and my talents. And one of them just happened to have a wife who was on the fair board. And so when the previous manager retired, they were sort of in a crisis.
Right.
And they actually just reached out to me on less than a week's notice to actually just pull it together.
Right.
Because it was the first flea market of the season, and they just needed a stopgap. And that went off really well, and just over time I actually got the contract. Now I have a 3-year contract to run it. So
very cool. Well, I know that sounds like a success, and I know moving in with the Mid-Valley Winter Ag Fest, that's certainly been a help using that past
wonderful,
experience.
Yeah, just great. And the community involvement, the business involvement, I mean, it's like you couldn't possibly do something like this on your own.
Right.
Everybody's really excited about it, and it was really needed in the county. So.
Right. Well, we talk a lot about the community involvement. Is that what you think kind of makes Polk County or Monmouth Independent so special? Is it that
I think so. And people, it's a smaller, more rural environment, and people are a lot more open, and they are interested in getting to know people. And then once they get to know you, then they build trust, right. And that makes it really a lot easier to talk to them about what they need and want in an event. So.
Which is made possible by having kind of a tight-knit community.
Oh, absolutely. And both
have.
Monmouth and Independence are the same way. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are you doing in the future? With continuing the Mid-Valley Winter Ag Fest? Do you have any future plans with that?
We're just going to expand and try to make really relevant seminars for agriculture interests, and just grow the show and consolidate what we've already got and see what else we can add. We've had ideas like adding a career day, which the kids can come out and actually learn how to run a backhoe and that type of thing. And there's a lot of things that we could easily incorporate into the event.
Well, that sounds exciting. I'm certainly looking forward to attending myself. So thank you
wonderful.
again for being on the show. And now joining us is Brian Willms. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks. So you are involved in the National Psoriasis Foundation?
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about the organization.
National Psoriasis Foundation has been around since 1966. It was actually started by an ad that was placed in the Oregonian, a patient that was looking to find others to connect. Actually, it was her husband that placed the ad for her. And from there, it's just grown. It's become the largest organization representing people with psoriatic disease. Mm-hmm. And a lot of folks aren't familiar with psoriasis. If you're not, it's an autoimmune disease. And most commonly, it's the skin attacking itself, and it'll leave plaque, large scales of plaque on the skin. Not only can it be maybe unattractive looking, but it can also be very itchy and also very painful. And psoriasis plaque can end up anywhere. So you end up in your eyelids, your nose, anywhere that you have skin, any type of tissue. Beyond that, because it is an autoimmune disease, it's your body attacking itself, it leads to a number of different things that are called comorbidities. And when you think of a comorbidity, what we're talking about there is cardiovascular disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, other things that would and could lead to death. So this is a very serious disease that most people don't recognize. There's also, unfortunately, a pretty bad stigma that gets attached to it as well. If you can imagine having the different plaque on your face or even on your hands, you may not want to touch somebody. And one of the very first things you're going to learn from somebody who has psoriasis is they'll say, it's not contagious. And that's pretty critical. So if you were to meet somebody and they had some plaque on their hands, you're not going to be in any harm shaking their hand. If you saw it on their face, you can imagine that they're probably feeling a bit of discomfort from that. And so, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more, but that was one of my draws, being able to represent people like that who are dealing with that type of issue.
Right.
One other thing I'd want to note is about 1/3 of the people who have psoriasis end up with psoriatic arthritis. So when that's happening, think of rheumatoid arthritis or arthritis in general. It's basically inflammation around your joints, and that can be pretty critical. I've got a good friend, her name is Lisa, and Lisa's in her early 50s, and unfortunately I didn't even know she had psoriatic arthritis. Knew nothing about it at the time, and I found out that it's left her in a pretty bad situation. You look at her, she looks like the spitting image of great health, but unfortunately she can get a flare-up with her arthritis, and she could actually be sitting in a chair and get locked up and can't get up. Imagine if that happened to you while you're going to the bathroom, which it does. So unfortunately, it can be a tough situation.
So it sounds like the organization certainly does important work to people in need of that. So what events do you guys put on, or how do you help kind of fundraise or help assist these people in need?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We do a lot of different things. We put on a number of different events. Our most familiar stuff is we call it Team NPF. Mm-hmm. And we do endurance events, runs, cycling events, walks, and then we have some other things that are bingo. We like to go and have some fun, do social stuff. We have a big event that's coming up here soon, and we do them also across the country. And we also do some things called DIY, do-it-yourself events. And those can be a lot of fun as well. We just had one here recently. It was called Psoriatic Superheroes and Sidekicks. And so psoriasis is spelled with a silent P in front of it. So we put that silent P in front of superheroes and that silent P in front of sidekicks. And had people dressing up in costume and just having a good time. So, if there's folks here in Monmouth and Independence or even Western Oregon University who'd want to have a good time and dress up, it'd be a great way to help raise for National Psoriasis Foundation.
Absolutely. Well, how would they find out more information about the organization or how to take part in that, how to get involved? Yeah,
great thought there too. One way is going to our main website, which is www.psoriasis, psoriasis.org. So psoriasis.org or to teamnpf.org.
Okay. Well, how did you yourself get involved in the foundation or in the organization originally? Is this, nonprofit work or community, giving back to the community something you've always been interested in, or how did you find yourself working?
Yeah, I think like a lot of people who get involved with nonprofits and charities, you kind of stumble into it. Been involved with nonprofits and charities since I was fairly young, doing volunteer work and fundraising. I think a lot of people have done walks and runs through their time. But I stumbled in. I was actually doing something similar to you, involved with chambers. Really enjoyed that, and that's where I got my event experience. So from there, I really decided I wanted to shift over to the charitable side. I like championing people that are dealing with some challenges in life and maybe with a little bit of adversity. And that was one of the attractions about the National Psoriasis Foundation. When you think about folks that are living with psoriatic disease, most people aren't familiar with psoriasis. When they do think of it, they might think of it the same way I did when I learned about it. It's nothing more than just kind of a red rash. So why do you need a foundation representing them? And then the other part that I mentioned, the folks feeling that contagious syndrome. To me, that was a group of people that are really needing a champion and maybe underserved. So that was a big draw for me. And National Psoriasis Foundation does fantastic, fantastic work. We're putting nearly $3 million a year just towards grants, fellowships that are working on a cure, and we're getting a lot closer to it.
Well, good. That was really good to hear. So I know, speaking of events, cycle events in particular, I've heard talk that there may be one coming to this area.
Yeah, really, really excited about that. Thanks to Sean Irvine, the economic development person with the City of Independence, we were able to come down here and warmly welcomed by the community. Not just Sean, I mean, he certainly did a great job showing us around, but coming down to the community and checking it out for a potential place for our cycling event. It was amazing just how people in Monmouth and Independence and Polk County in general were just very warm, wanting to help out even before we had made that commitment. The Chamber was another great resource for that. So we were looking for an area that certainly we had a great sense of community, but offered great routes, great scenery, and some rural routes for safety. And this was a great place. Some friends with Ride with GPS, great partners of ours, actually referred us down here, spoke to Sean. We looked at Riverview Park there in Independence. It's a fantastic site. You need a great site for a start and finish. Right. And we're looking for a place. This is going to be our first ride in Oregon. We've done 5 others across the United States, but this will be our first in Oregon, and we needed looking for a place that we could grow with and do it year after year. So great venue, great routes, great community.
And that's happening this summer?
It is.
Okay.
Sunday, June 18th, Father's Day. I don't think you're a father yet.
Not yet.
Okay. So, for those that are dads like myself, this could be, a great opportunity. Just come out. I know my family wants to come out and help support. If you are looking to have a good time, you don't even have to be a cyclist. And we're offering a lot of other festivities. But a great event on Father's Day this year. And
possibly a great tradition to get your family together and go on this ride every Father's Day. And it certainly has that opportunity to build into that. So
definitely.
Fantastic. I know you talked a little bit about the do-it-yourself type of events. Mm-hmm. And that can be just anything. So students could just get in contact and host a walk or a run or a dance-off. Or mm-hmm. It's listed a ton of different options there.
Yeah, wide variety. Anything that you could probably think of, you could probably turn into an event. We had a young lady who actually created a poster, and the posters were put out as an art project and then produced, and each poster sold a particular amount of that came back as funds raised. We had a young man who did a swim-a-thon. We had somebody else who did something around golf. Another individual actually did a hiking event. So it was very much like doing a walk or a run, but they did it as a hiking. So if you want to get creative, I've heard about somebody who wanted to do a bake-a-thon. It's really do it yourself. Right. So whatever you can come up with and be creative and have some fun with it, we encourage it and welcome it.
That sounds like a great opportunity to kind of use that creativity and give back to a good cause.
Definitely.
So, well, Brian, thank you for coming on the show, and I definitely recommend everyone checking out your website and getting involved and certainly coming out and seeing the cycling event.
Thank you, and thank you, Ryan.
Yep, thanks. And that should do it for this month's edition of Chamber Chat. If you would like to be a guest on the show, feel free to email me at micc@minetfiber.com or check out our website at www.micc-or.org. And remember, when you're visiting Monmouth and Independence, to keep it local.